Good evening. I'm just going to share this screen. I all my kids' games here in the corner. Um so I had an interesting topic come up, a question in Quora. I like Quora because I get some ideas sometimes. Sometimes it's total garbage, but sometimes there's an interesting question that'll come across that I'm like, okay, that would be an interesting conversation topic and a great topic for video too. So this one was, how can you be disciplined with your goals without getting distracted? Um, the I felt like this was sort of in line. I chose to make a video about it because I felt like it was in line with the other two that I have already posted about budgeting and about household management, particularly household chores, how to organize those in a way that doesn't make you want to just run away and forget about it all. So this question was, how can you be disciplined with your goals without getting distracted? I have no idea who asked the question. I never looked. I think usually there's a way you can like click on it and see who it asked, but I didn't bother. And they didn't bother responding, which is perfectly fine. I don't really do this to like chat with people. I do it because I like writing anyway as a hobby. So random, interesting Quora question that pops up is a good, essay topic sometimes. And gives some food for thought and some introspection. So goals. So goal setting is a very it's a topic that I'm really interested in. I like hearing how other people set and reach their goals, what works for them. I get frustrated sometimes when I hear advice like people say, oh, if there's one thing I could tell you that would guarantee your success, this is what it would be. And so like very rarely does success ever boil down to one thing. Like some people will say, oh, it's self-discipline. And it's like, that's true. Okay, but what does that look like? Or what is involved in developing self-discipline? And so for me, my limitations, and I've never made a secret of any of this, is that I have ADHD. I was diagnosed when I was like 15, I think, a teenager. Unfortunately, my papers were lost. So rather than rely on, you know, ADHD medication to help me regulate the symptoms, I self-medicate with caffeine and lists. I love lists. So I've tried making this video like 3 times. I wasn't entirely happy. I felt like I got too rambly, so I'm trying to avoid that. But I figured I would just pull from my own experience in answering this question. Partially because I feel like anyone who's going to give advice or offer a suggestion, like it should be something that has genuinely worked for you, right? You don't want to take advice from somebody who isn't actually practicing anything that they're, talking about, and they have no idea what they're talking about. So with goal setting, I have several things going on in life. I'm a single parent. I have 3 teenagers. I, maintain my own life independently. This is not to say that I do not ever accept help. I've had some people get very, don't act like you didn't do this. You did this all by yourself. It's like, of course not. Very few people ever just like do everything from scratch. Like at some point you have benefited from someone's kindness or benevolence, or having given you an opportunity or a chance at something. So that is not what I'm saying what I'm saying when I say independently maintaining my own life. I just mean that, I pay my own bills and maintain my own house and household and my living space and, manage my own family, so. Um, I'm a grown up. But so there's a lot of different things going on though that along the way, after my divorce, I had to figure out how to get back into the workforce. And I benefited from the advice of someone who had known me from a very young age, who suggested a path of employment. And that helped me a lot. I gained a lot of experience in that position. I worked at an elementary school and, well, really elementary and middle for the county for a little bit for as a substitute teacher. And then as a special education teacher. Um, and then moved on to briefly working in like a warehouse, and then I started working in another manufacturing company, and now I am the purchaser in that manufacturing company. I have a busy schedule. Let's see, so as far as goals go, at some point I had to figure out how to make a living. Some people will say, well, you're a single mom, you're divorced, you have child support. My ex pays minimal child support at my request. It was a difficult time period for both of us, and I was trying not to put more of a financial burden on him than necessary. So that arrangement was made. So figuring out how to support myself was a big deal. And eventually, through the advice of some coworkers, I started college. At first, it was a teaching degree, and I changed that to a business degree. I'm very happy with that. It's something I have an aptitude for. So I will also say that if you're making a academic goal, like choosing college or choosing a degree or a course of study of some kind, let it not just be something that sounds cool, but something that you have an aptitude for, that you have an inclination towards, and maybe a talent for. It will help you to get through your studies more smoothly, and sometimes quicker. Also, uh, making sure that you listen to the right advice. I got very good advice on which college to choose, and from someone else's personal experience. And like I said, with my job, my first job after the divorce was at the suggestion of a professional in a similar, industry. And so good advice is invaluable. But one of the ways that when I set goals, I have goals for my family life, I have goals for, work, career, school, and my personal romantic relationship. The way that I organize all of that was to sort of break down the areas of my life into, segments. So in this post, I made sort of a list of the main parts of my life, right? Full-time employment, part-time side business, my long-term long distance relationship boyfriend, my family, that is me and my children, homemaker, college for business management, and personal self-care time and fitness. So those are kind of the priorities of my life right now. I don't do a whole lot socially. School right now takes up a lot of my spare time. I imagine when I graduate, I'll probably have more time for that. So It's just something that's sort of on hold. The main, most important relationships that work to maintain daily are with my children and my boyfriend. The tools that I use to manage all of this, calendars with lots of reminders. And I also use paper calendars to organize some things for like the kids so that they kind of know what is going on and they can just kind of see that. There's a few chores that are on rotation between them, and I just put those on a calendar so that at a glance, everybody kind of knows what they need to do or whose responsibility is that day to take care of that thing. Um, Budgets, I use Google Sheets. Some people use Excel, some people use fancy apps. I use Google Sheets. To-do list. I have so many to-do lists in my phone. It's not even funny. I have to-do lists for work. I have to-do lists for home, for my daily, weekly, monthly activities. I have chore lists for myself, for the kids. I have shopping lists, meal prep lists, meal options lists for the kids, to choose from when I'm putting together a meal plan for the week. Um, and all of this works really well. At work, so I make myself a priority list every day. I also have, notes for like a week from now, 2 weeks from now, a month from now, follow up on these things. And it's been effective. It has helped me, doing that has helped me in, every job that I've had where I am given the freedom to organize my own time. I'm able to successfully do that. So far, it's worked for me. This job I have now, using that means of prioritizing. I was promoted from the position I started in to another position within 6 months. And with college, I'm in my fourth or fifth term now. There was a degree change in my plan. So I have to look back and remember exactly which term I'm in, but I've not yet missed an assignment. And or failed to turn one in on time. And so obviously, clearly, like this system works for me. I have lots of reminders with alarms, like everything, appointments, remembering to make a phone call during my lunch break, anything like that. I put on my calendar. Micromanagement. Okay, so I've learned to be very proactive about protecting my routine and my schedule. I know, for example, in my family life, what needs to happen, what um, the family's needs are, things that are coming up. And I also know how much time and energy me and my children have for things. So I try to make sure that I schedule and plan around all of those things. At work, it works the same way. Generally speaking, I'm given tasks which I am permitted to manage and prioritize as needed. Occasionally there's something that, has to be done now, but generally it's like this just needs to be done by, lunchtime, or this needs to be done by the end of the day. And I'm generally very good at, doing that or getting that done. Let's see. Obviously, changes have to happen. So because I have this basic outline of schedule, it's easy for me to make adjustments in that to accommodate a change. Or a new event or appointment or whatever. But it's because I have this, I've developed these systems, all these lists and over time so that everything gets done. Um, I say everything. It's not like my laundry doesn't pile up sometimes. Okay, that happens. But but generally, life stays together, it keeps moving, and I'm able to do the things I have to do. Kids are able to do things they need to do, and generally we have a calm and happy home environment. So, um, let's see. With school, so I don't know if I really went into it. Yeah, I did. Okay, so college, I have the benefit of attending an online college, which is somewhat at my own pace, right? I study on my lunch breaks at work, on the weekends, the times when the kids are gone. I also, like in the car to and from work, I have 20-30 minute drive. And so I'll listen to a podcast or video or audiobook. Um, and I keep my notes on Google Sheets or Google Docs. So I have that on my phone too, wherever I go. So I can study or make notes or whatever, regardless of whether I'm in front of a computer or not. So that's how I do that. And like I said before, I've not failed to turn in an assignment on time yet. So this works for me. Um, Teens, I have teens. I don't have like small children. So like babysitting, having to get a babysitter is not a real issue. Having a situation where, the kids are really good at, I give them their chore list on cleaning day and they just do the few things that are on that list. And before you know it, the majority of the housework is done. Um, so uh, that's another big part of, reaching my goals means that my life has to be organized and structured and things, the day-to-day stuff has to get taken care of in order to reach the long-term goals. And so household management is a really major part of that. My boyfriend, like I said, is like semi-long distance. It's a bit of a drive. He's very busy. I'm very busy. He's an IT guy at a very well-known company. So he's busy with work and and he also has his, family, relatives, and then he's, 30 in his late 30s and he has his own, space, living space and his own, you know, automobiles and all this kind of thing that he has to take care of too. So he has a life he has to maintain, as do I. So it takes communication and scheduling and us, you know, um, communicating regularly and clearly, um, in order to, make time for each other. But we both make the effort to do that, and so that works. But definitely good communication and prioritizing of the relationship is a must. Um, let's see. I already talked about budgeting a bit. I want to talk about fitness briefly. Hmm, so for a little bit, I was um, getting up really early, 3 days out of the week and going to the gym before work. Um, I got some bad advice about my diet, and it really majorly threw everything off. It's taken me months to get back to my normal kind of energetic self. I was so exhausted, and I have a desk job during the week. My side business is more active, so but during the week I do have a desk job, and so I was concerned about, weight gain and maintaining my weight. So what I do for that is I will have, couple of cups of coffee in the morning, and then drink water pretty much the rest of the day, and then have dinner with the family. Um, on a day when I do get to the gym, I will have, protein shake. I'll probably eat lunch. I prefer weight training and using, you know, heavy weights. And so that's my preferred gym activity. Um, so that's how so far it works. Once I got back on track with this, my diet, the way that, because I had done this intermittent fasting thing before, and there'll be people who will tell me, well, that's not intermittent fasting, or you're waiting too long to eat, or whatever. And it's like, you can say that all you want to, but nevertheless, the results speak for themselves. I'm maintaining my weight. I've, you know, been able to wear the same size clothes for years due to this method, regardless of how much physical activity I had or didn't have. So it's not to say that I don't gain a few pounds here and there, that it doesn't fluctuate as it does for most women. Um, but as far as like my clothing size is always, it stays the same with this approach. And I have lots of energy. I'm doing, keeping up with all of this work, school, kids, boyfriend, household, keeping up with all of this stuff. Um, and so that's my approach to that. So I think that you really do need to find out what works for you. I found that sleep and controlling or managing my diet is as important as getting to the gym. Physical activity is most definitely important, and I feel better, when I'm able to regularly engage in, workout. Um, but sleep and paying attention to my diet is as important. Um, so otherwise, like that was the extent of my post. I will also say that in um so staying disciplined, reaching goals without distraction, just these things. I mean, keeping things on a list, like that's really the point. When I make a list too, I was going to mention that. I think I mentioned it in this post, somewhere in all of these words. But that the point of the list isn't just, it's not that I'm getting all of those things done every day. Sometimes I have more on my list than is humanly possible to accomplish in one day. The point of the list is to help me to focus and to remember, what my goal for that day is. It's just to keep my day moving, right? So when I finish one thing, instead of being like, what was I supposed to do next? Or I have ADHD, so some people may not struggle with that. But when I finish one task, sometimes it takes me, a minute to figure out, okay, what did I need to do next? A list completely eliminates this um, lag time for me. If I'm ever in doubt, I just go back to my list, be like, what was the next thing or the next few things, and pick something, from that list that, needs to be accomplished now. I also put on there anything I have to follow up on later, whether it's at work with like my manager or employer, um, or, other employee in the building. Anything I have to follow up on gets added, whether it's responding to an email, remembering to place a specific order, or send a specific inquiry, or handle a project. That any of those things get added to the list, no matter how small it is, because I will probably forget if I don't. So, and the same thing with like my personal um, to-do lists. I may not get everything done, but again, that is not the point of the list. Is not to complete everything on the list. It's to keep me focused on what's important that day, or that week, or that month, and help me to stay focused and engaged. Um, so I hope that this helps. Um, I just felt like this was really kind of along the similar lines with my last two videos, and sort of fills those in just a little bit with some more detail. Um, but yeah, and the other thing is that as I'm reaching goals, when I'm getting ready to set goals, doing research, asking questions, actively seeking advice from people who have done what I want to do, or who are otherwise qualified to answer my question. Um, and always doing your own research, because you don't always get good advice, right? But so when you get advice, compare it to, do your own research, and kind of compare what you hear to your research, and that can kind of help to sort, separate the good advice from the bad advice, and figure out what's really going to work for you. Because some people like to give advice and they give like an opinion, and other people give advice and they give you statistics, and they give you or personal experience, like, this is what I did, and so this worked for me, and this is why it worked for me. um, or this is generally how this process works. And I don't know if I mentioned it, I can't remember if I already mentioned it, but when it comes to choosing your college degree, I would 100% recommend choosing something that you have a natural aptitude for. People will say, what do you find fulfillment in? And sometimes I think I had the benefit of being, in my early 30s when I chose my degree. So I'd already seen some of life and kind of knew what I was inclined towards, or, interested in or good at. Um, Fresh out of high school, a person doesn't always has not had the experiences that sort of bring those interests and aptitudes to the surface. Sometimes they do, sometimes not. But um, definitely having an aptitude for the the material, the courses involved in this business degree, has helped me to move through it in a way that would have been much more difficult had I not had um, that, um, had I chosen, a different degree, and something that maybe, which is why I changed from teaching degree to business degree. Um, the principles and the objectivity involved in business management just appeals to me in the way that my brain works, and it has made these courses less painful than they would have otherwise been. Does not eliminate the pain altogether, but certainly not as difficult as it could have been were it a degree that I was ill suited for. So when you're setting goals, if it's academic, pay attention to, how your mind works, and um, try to choose something that, maybe you'll have a natural um, leaning towards. So I think that's it. Well, thank you for watching, and I hope that this was helpful.